Hello there, and welcome to Wednesday's Grumpy Sound Guy Show. This week we are going to talk about strategic relationships and music business positioning and how to position yourself in a place of success. But before we get into all that, I want to ask you guys to be sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell so you'll know when we post new videos. We do shorts every day, and then we do a once a week long form video, trying to give you as much information as we possibly can for free. So it doesn't cost anything to hit that subscription button and to follow us so that you can stay plugged into all things grumpy. So let's dive right in here this week. I had someone on TikTok, I believe it was, that had asked me to talk about strategic relationships. That immediately made me think about positioning, because these are super huge things inside the music business that we all have to kind of figure out and execute in an intelligent way in order to be at the door of opportunity. So let me kind of give you some examples of what that looks like. Strategic relationships are intentional relationships you build with people of influence in the business. They're people that you can see doing things in venues you may want to work in, or working with certain people you want to collaborate with, maybe musicians or composers or something like that. Maybe they're a programming director at a church that you want to, maybe get on staff there at some point or another. All that starts with, networking. All that starts with building a friendship and building bridges into those people's lives and earning their trust and becoming someone that they look to for advice about whatever it is that you're trying to do. You can really apply this idea to any type of business model whatsoever, because we all need to be connected with the people who hold the keys to the kingdom. People who have influence in whatever field of business that you're in. In this specific situation, we're talking about the music business. So for me, it's about trying to be and stay connected with people of influence. In my world, that's agents, that's concert promoters, even local business that may be a business that believes in live entertainment and likes to do or sponsor community concert series type stuff, that sort of thing. All that stuff is super huge. So you want to be super intentional about trying to build relationships into those people's lives and to position yourself. And by that, what I mean is, I had a guy tell me years and years ago that if you're not at that door of opportunity when it opens, then how can you ever take advantage of that opportunity? If you're a block down the street or you're standing in front of the wrong door, then that's not going to benefit your business trajectory. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to get you where you really want to go, in this business. So you always want to put yourself in a position that will pay off 2 chess moves down the board, if that makes sense to you. So if becoming friends with the door guy is step 1 into becoming friends with the venue owner or the entertainment buyer for that venue, then hey man, you got to do what you got to do to get there. Now try to be genuine, as you're doing that stuff. I'm still very good friends with a lot of lower level, we'll call them entry level type people, that was able to open that door of opportunity for me to really connect with the people that I needed to connect with to get to whatever level I was trying to reach for. So I'm always very genuine about that, and I never forget those people, and I always try to, even years later, I'll find myself putting them on guest lists and things like that when I'm out and about, or we'll buy them dinner, if I run into them or something like that, keep them on the Christmas list. That sort of thing. Small gestures of appreciation really go a long way. So I'm not saying go into this business and use people, because there is a whole bunch of that. And when you get to the top of your industry, that's probably the hardest part about it, is really learning who is your friend because they genuinely want to be your friend, and who is your friend because they're trying to position themselves for a step, further down the chessboard. And that can be real tough. So knowing that, you need to understand that that's where the person you're trying to connect with might be coming from. So make sure that you're genuine with the connections that you make. I am personal friends with a whole boatload of people that I have come up in the business with, people that have done me a lot of good, and people that I have been able to give them my services and done them a lot of good and really benefit their business and really benefit their vision for where they want it to go. It can easily be a give kind of thing, a win-win kind of thing, when you position yourself correctly. So the first thing you have to do is you have to sit down and you have to ask yourself how you can do that. Back in the day when I was coming up in the business in the late 80s, early 90s, you went out and you did that face-to-face. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have social media. We had social settings where you actually go meet people face-to-face. We all had business cards back then. Now, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, and you had to, man, if you didn't have a business card or a press kit, a press kit was where you would send local music magazines your demo and ask them to critique it, and they would print a review of that in their magazine, and you would clip that and put that in a kit, press kit. A promotional package was a package about your band. It's kind of like a digital promo pack that we have now that happens digitally online. It's all that same information, except it was in a hard copy. So I used to carry a briefcase around with me that had all that stuff in it for the bands that I was trying to sell. This was back in the day when I was really booking more bands than I was mixing bands, because I was still green into the production side of things, but I was pretty well versed in the booking side of it and selling my own bands. I managed most of the bands that I was in, and that's just kind of the way, life worked out for me. So so you had a business card and you went and, you shook hands and you kissed babies. Or as a buddy of mine always says, shake babies. How's he saying? Shake babies and, I don't know, kiss hands. But you do all the politics of it. How politicians used to go around, kiss babies and shake hands. That's where that whole thing comes from. He says shake babies, kiss hands. It's funny. Anyways, it was a face-to-face interaction, guys. It was something that... it's something you just had to be almost an extrovert kind of guy, or just have a lot of balls, to go out and to cold start conversations, with venue promoters, entertainment buyers, venue owners, concert promoters, all that kind of stuff. And you may have to really work your way. Back in those days, you would have to really work your way around the bar scene or around the live music venue scene of your area for maybe a year or so before you could build those bridges into those people's lives and have even 30 seconds of their time to pitch your band or to pitch whatever it is you're trying to do. Having strong sales skills is an unfathomable value in this business. It really is. I was always pretty good at that. I always had the gift of gab, and I was kind of full of bull butter anyways. But I can remember working really, really hard for months and months and months trying to get to this one person just so that I could hand them a business card, give them my promo pack and press kit, and say, hey, I think our band could really make you some money if you give us an opportunity. And, you work that stuff out face to face. Nowadays, probably 50% of that, and I'm being kind of liberal with that number, 50% of that can be done online. You can send emails into the club on their website. You can send direct messages and private messages to them through their social media pages. The thing that I've come to learn in this day and age is a lot of times the people you want to talk to are not the people that are managing those accounts. So it really still only goes so far. Unless you're hitting a nerve that's already been cultivated. And by that, what I mean is, and this goes back to our video when we were talking about building your band and making noise in the scene. If you're a band that bar owner has already heard about, and you're making noise in the scene, you're drawing numbers, man, you're packing clubs and that sort of thing, and their patrons or their waitresses or their managers seen your band at the club across town or something like that, and came back with good positive reviews of your band, then when you send in those cold, sales, pitches, they don't fall on deaf ears so much. Now maybe they're interested to have a conversation with you. Now maybe, that lead waitress that has some tech ability and is running all the social media stuff for the owner says, okay, this is a band that I really need to get to the owner because I know these guys are making waves in the scene. So it's still not a replacement for the things you got to be doing on stage and in your band development, and that sort of thing, because that's going to make this whole thing a lot easier. But positioning yourself and creating those strategic, intentional relationships is really what kind of gets you where you want to go. Because even with all of the modern technology of email and social media and all that kind of stuff and everything, there's still no replacement for a guy who is well presented, well versed in how to sell his band, and knows how to tell a bar owner what he's looking for. Like when you're sitting there talking about making him money, that gets his attention. That's in a bar owner's wheelhouse right there. They're in this to make money, period. And they'll book bands that are horrible, that sell out the club, every 6 weeks. But they're horrible. We've all seen those bands. We all know those bands. Bands that are really not that great musically, but they're marketing geniuses, or they've been able to tap into some genre or set list that's super hot right now, and people are just supporting them. I always say that's the curse of the business is, when blessings and when prosperity falls on those that didn't quite work as hard as what maybe you have, or didn't take the time to cultivate their craft in a professional manner. They just kind of get up there and throw it all against the wall, and 40% of it sticks, but the audience is either too inebriated or just too into the song selection to gripe about it. So the 3% of us that know the difference are griping about it, but we're insignificant in that situation because the bar owner's looking at it like, dude, I don't care if they're they sound like dog snot. I mean, they're making me money, dude. I'm not going to, kick out a band that's, blatantly making me money. You got to keep that stuff in perspective. The last band that I was in full time and managed, I was all about trying to become part of the bar's team or the church's team. I didn't want to be a guy that was just sliding in and out like a ghost, putting in my 4 hours a week, getting paid and going home, or whatever the case is. I always wanted them to feel like I'm part of their team. I care about how much money you made. Like that was always my first question at the end of the night when I went to get paid was, hey, how'd we do in the bar tonight? What kind of numbers did we turn behind the bar? I kept record of all that kind of stuff. So that if I did have a dead night, then I had a written out record of, well, here is what we did the last 4 times we were here. For whatever reason, maybe it was the weather, maybe there was, it was homecoming weekend or something like that, or there was a bigger band playing a block down the street, but something else was going on that jacked with our audience attendance this week, because here's a record. We have a proven track record in your venue of making you money. So unfortunately, we all just kind of, take it on the nose. The bar owners just got to understand that there are weeks where you're not going to make money. But you make that up on the weeks when you do make big money, because bands are working for flat rates. So whether the bar makes, $1,000 or they make $100,000, you still make the same amount of money. So when they win big. But when they lose, it stings. That's just part of the industry. If you're a bar owner and you're watching this and you got a problem with that, I would probably get out of the live music business, because it's a roller coaster, man. The only thing consistent about this is its inconsistency. And that's just the way it is. It's the nature of the business. If you're a bar that has, because it's not just the band's responsibility here, and I've harped on this all the time, if you're a bar that has good service, has good food, has decent drink prices and things like that, is in a good location, don't have the cops camped out, on your sidewalk, every night of the week, or you don't have a reputation for, fights and trouble and stuff like that. Those things are as important as having a band that can bring people into the club. Because if the band brings people into the club, it's not going to do you any good, because if you're a bad environment, that band's fan base is going to come once and never come back, if they even stay through the first set. And I have seen that exact scenario play out right in front of my eyes, especially now that I'm on the production side of things, over and over and over again, where it's just a rough club or they have horrible service. I've seen people drive 2 hours to see their favorite band at XYZ, live music venue, A-rated room, and they sat there for 45 minutes and no one ever waited on them. No one ever come take a drink order from them. No one ever bring them a menu. They were ready to eat dinner. They just been on the road for 2 hours. They're going to hit the bathroom. They're going to eat dinner, order some cocktails, and going to enjoy the band. It's their favorite band. They drove 2 hours to get there, dude. If you're not capitalizing on that as a bar owner, don't be blaming the band for why people were leaving. It goes both ways. So I'm sorry I kind of got off into all that. I'll give you that for free. But, we're talking about positioning and strategic relationships. Well, strategic relationships, go further than just getting hired. It's cultivating and making the most of that relationship moving forward. So, it can sometimes be a little bit touch and go for the first 2 or 3 shows, but then you start to build a rapport with the bar owner. He starts to see the kind of band that you are. Maybe if you're not pulling big numbers, you understand that and you're hitting him right financially. So you're giving him a break financially because you know that you're in a building phase. Maybe you're a new band, and that sort of thing. But your product is sellable. You'll keep people there if the people are there. And if you communicate that and you're just honest with the bar owner about that kind of stuff, or the entertainment manager, man, that goes a long way, because then it makes them feel like you're on their team. You understand where they're coming from. But if you're somebody who shows up and says, hey, look, I could really give a rip less if anybody shows up, pay me. That bar owner or entertainment manager is going to have absolutely no motivation whatsoever to work with you, because you're just looking to make a quick buck and really don't give a rip about them. And no one wants to work with somebody like that. I don't want to work with somebody like that, I always say, if you don't make paying me a priority, I don't want to work with you, And it's the same thing in that scenario of a band. If you're someone that doesn't make making the bar money a priority, then why would they want to work with you? And we can get into all the nuts and bolts of that in another video. We've talked a lot about that in past videos, but getting that relationship and establishing that bridge into that person's life is just the beginning. Cultivating that and continuing to water the ground of that opportunity is 100% on you, and you have to be somebody who's intentional about those efforts, as the crowds start to come. And if you get 3, this is always my rule, if you got 3 consistent, crowds at a club where you're drawing consistent numbers 3 times in a row, then we probably need to sit down and talk about a little bit more money. Now don't go from $1,000 to $10,000 in the first step there. Go from $1,000 to maybe $1,300 or $1,400. And if you have, look, we're not stupid here. Do the math. If they're charging a $5 cover and they bring a certain amount of people in, do the math and see what kind of money they're making. If you can pay for that price increase just off the door numbers, that guy's going to be super, motivated to not rock the boat and see the writing on the wall here. These guys are very smart, and he will give you that increase without question. You just got to keep delivering, but then if you have 3 dead gigs in a row, then the coin kind of turns the other way. Like, hey man, I don't know what's going on here. And you got to really just sit down and get honest with this guy. He's got to get honest about what he's doing, and you got to get honest about what you're doing as a band. And then that's where the conversation kind of turns into, what are you doing for marketing those events on the band side of it? And the bar owner has to look in the mirror and ask himself what he's doing to market those events as well. Some bars go through seasons of prosperity, especially new bars, because it's a new thing in town. So you get a bar that opens up and now everybody wants to go there. It's kind of like Disney World. Everybody wants to go and check out the new place and see what it's all about, and that may go on for 6 months or a year or even 3 months. And then it kind of slack off because now it's not new anymore. It's just another neighborhood venue. It's really hard to keep that momentum, and that's where the bar owner's got to really do his due diligence and trying to, keep that momentum moving. And as a band, if you have consistent crowds coming into that and you're starting to get some pay increases, you have a big responsibility to keep that momentum going with your fan base. So you got to make sure you're doing all the things right on your end. So it's not just about making that initial connection. It's about cultivating that relationship as you move forward and as you grow into a long-term relationship with that venue promoter. I still can pick up the phone right now and call 3 or 4 guys that I haven't booked gigs with in probably 10 years, and they're friends of mine. And they know that I'll do anything I can do to help them. Even 10 years after the last, big band that I was in, they know I'm in the production business, and sometimes they can use some help that way, and I'll help them. Because that's the relationship. The relationship just wasn't about making money. I mean, yeah, that's a big part of it, but let's be honest and let's be genuine in our efforts to connect with people and just build a relationship that will last. And then you never know, that guy may be holding the keys to the next venue you want to get into, because let me give you a little bit of information and we'll stop here. And that is, bar owners talk to each other. Venue promoters talk to each other. Event promoters talk to each other. Even if they're, actively and aggressive competitors, they still talk to each other, and they talk about what they're paying this band and what they're paying that band, what their numbers are. All that stuff is fairly open communication between bar owners in many, many cases, or between, event promoters in many, many cases, because everybody's trying to get the best deal. If bar A is booking band A and just killing and selling out every week, but then that same band plays across town at bar B and can't get anybody into place, well, the owner of bar B, if he's a smart guy, will go to bar A and find out what they're doing that he's not. Like, why are the people going to that club but they're not going here? I'm just on the other side of town. It's not, and there's, 60 days between the dates, all that stuff is correct on the calendar. I would guess that something is wrong at bar B. It's a location issue, it's a service issue, maybe a pricing issue, might be an economics issue, something like that people don't want to go to bar B, but yet they'll go to bar A. Sometimes that brings these guys together, and then they start talking, and they start talking about what works and what doesn't work. And that's just kind of the way it is. So, I hope this helps you guys. I hope this makes a lot of sense. I will say this, and we'll close with this. It's a lot easier to make these connections now with social media and all the technology that's in place. It's not a shoe-in, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't solve the thing. Face-to-face interaction is always going to dominate your success level, but it does make it easier to even just find out about other venues, or to just be friends with all the local bands and see what venues are playing. Like, if I was to move, halfway across the country and get reestablished in a new market, that's the first thing I would do, is I would friend every major band in that area and just follow them every weekend on Facebook and see what venues they're playing, make notes of that, all that kind of stuff. Go out to the venues, visit the venues, meet the bands, build bridges. Just this stuff I'm teaching you, man. Build bridges into the artist's, life. Try to make friends. Try to, work your way into the scene. It's not an overnight sensation. It takes time. But if you do it right, you'll establish yourself in a manner to where even when tough times hit, you'll still be one of the bands that people are calling to come play their venue, because they like you and they know that you're on the same team that they're on, because you want to see the club make money. Look, man, we got to be honest about this. Without the nightclub or the event promoter or the people that are hosting, even the animal circuit clubs, because they probably do as much or more live music than anybody in the country. Without those venues, there's no place for bands to play. So, you get what you give. So if you treat these guys like dog snot, then don't be surprised when your phone never rings. But if you're somebody's trying to be a team player and trying to make money and build and do all the right things on your end, chances are you'll be very successful. I love you guys. Please subscribe to the channel. I can't say that enough. Please subscribe to the channel and share this on your socials, and share this with people that can benefit from this information. I'll see you next time.